It's just like being a politician. You have to be able to twist the interview around to whatever you want to talk about. That's the secret, actually.
This is a tip for all you new rock and rollers who want to start your own band. There's 3 things that I think you really have to have. You have to be good musically, you have to know how to play your instrument, and you have to be entertaining, and you have to have your own sound. You have to have a unique sound, plus a little sex.
If you know anything about Blondie at all, by now you know that Blondie is a band, a fact that has almost turned into explanation overkill in an effort to establish a group identity beyond the visual focus of Deborah Harry.
How are the other guys in the band? Are they all getting along? Are you all getting along?
Yeah.
We all have our moments, you know.
It gets to be monotonous on the road, you know.
But we're all working together still, so.
I'm sure you have minor trips come up, but basically it's you get along and you like each other.
Yeah, works out. I mean, you know, it's hard to keep a bunch of people working together. It's difficult.
This is democratic, it really is.
Yeah?
Yep.
What's sort of, you know, another thing that's sort of happened too is that everybody sort of has their areas of specialization, which, you know, like everybody sort of learned to appreciate.
Everybody's got maybe more talent in one area or interested in one area.
Yeah, so it works out really good that way.
But most of the decisions regarding, you know, finances, management, tour scheduling and stuff are all made collectively.
Yeah.
Recording, art cover, the album cover, all that stuff. I mean, we all picked out pictures. Everything is democratic. That was like, you know, another thing in the Rolling Stone article that was screwed up was that they implied that Debbie gets paid more and stuff like that, which really isn't true. It's absolutely not true. Debbie gets more for her merchandising, her individual merchandising, like Debbie posters and stuff like that. But at this point, that doesn't amount to very much anyway.
How can you, on one hand, do a Debbie poster? I didn't think of that. And then be worried about the, you know, Blondie as a total entity. I mean, that seems like self-defeating.
Blondie fans want Debbie posters.
Because Blondie is the title of the group. My name isn't Blondie.
Thank you, Deborah. I understand that, but I have done some research into this band, you know what I mean?
Well, and another way to look at it, too, is that, you know, controversy in any kind of thought-inducing problem with regards to, you know, like an act or a band or a performer, is always, you know, it's good.
Yes, anything to get people to think and talk about it and discuss it.
Say, oh, yeah, these guys are really there. They're really there.
Yeah. Well, now that brings up another thing, though, is that on each of the 3 albums, somebody has not been there or somebody has been at it.
Next one is the same.
Yeah, this next one is the permanent addition. Yeah.
Yes. We may never make any more records after that.
That's it.
There's a title song on the album, too, Eat to the Beat.
Eat to the Beat.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have lyrics to that? Sorry, good question.
I don't want to say them.
Okay.
It's just about pizza and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
pizza.
Pizza.
Directly from existentialism into pizza. Let me begin this by saying that I understand you guys don't really have like a love affair with the rock press going.
This is a misconception. Right away, let us start off saying you are starting with a misconception which has been seeded into your brain by the very thing we're talking about now, which is the rock press. We like the rock press. You know, you want me to be completely honest about it, I prefer the English rock press. Does more. But we like the rock press. Blondie has gotten a tremendous amount of success we've gotten from the rock press, for the coverage we've gotten for photographs and for interviews.
And for reviews, too.
For reviews, you know. So that's a misconception. The Rolling Stone article has caused us innumerable problems because now we go around the country.
Yeah, it's like they're the Bible or something. I mean, all the stuff that we've done, like in Circus and Cream and what's that other one? Crawdaddy and stuff like that. I mean, Rolling Stone's the only bad thing that we've gotten in this country, and everybody reads it. Everybody swears by it. I mean, they're terribly powerful.
We've gotten plenty of crummy reviews.
Yeah, but
in America, sure we have. There's all been.
We've had both, though. I mean, but we've had.
No, it's been all on a smaller level, you know. So the Rolling Stone piece was a major fallacy. So you know, like how do these things happen, and who gets ripped off? You, the public, get ripped off by stuff like that because you, the public, want to see reality in print, and you're not. You're seeing fabricated ravings of mad journalists, you know, and that's what bothers me because I want to talk to the fans. I mean, more than anything, we want to talk to the fans, you know, and have what we say come out right, you know, or at least what we say, you know, and let it be up to the fans, you know. Something like the Rolling Stone piece, though, you can't get that because it's completely one-sided.
And it was totally unsympathetic, too. I mean, we gave him an interview because, I mean, we thought it was really great, Rolling Stone and everything, right? And we were in the middle of recording an album, plus doing 2 interviews every day at noon. Right, I ask you, you know, I mean, it was really like a lot of pressure, you know? I mean, he took it to mean because of our inability to create a space for him at a time as a negative attitude.
Well, what happened was the guy showed up. The guy told us his whole scam was that he had never seen us live, right? So this was, up front was a little weird, right? So the scam was that he would come to one of our rehearsals and watch us fool around. So he came down and he watched us fool around, and Chapman was singing Little Willie and stuff like that, and everybody was freaking out. And he was supposed to say hello, and that was it. And that's what everybody understood was going to happen. All of a sudden, he whipped out a tape recorder and started asking these pretty inane questions. They're like, you know, how does it feel to be on top and all that kind of stuff along those lines. Whereupon Debbie came in and said, piss off, you know, this is not what's happening.
Was that a direct quote, Chris?
She actually said, you suck. Well, I mean, that's, I think, what journalism should be. It's, you know, it's to show people what they can't get to themselves, you know, and that should be the purpose of journalism, and most media is that, you know, news media anyway. I think it's the same amount of twist goes on in the rock press as in the real news, in the world news. I think there's as much, you know, when I see how screwed up our reality gets in the press, I realize that what's going on in the real news must get 10 times even more screwed up. You can't imagine what's going on in the rest of the world. Most people in America haven't the slightest idea what's really going on in the rest of the world. That's my theory about why rock writing is so bizarre, because all these same people, all these young guys who are going into rock writing now are the people who, if they had been doing this in the 60s, would have been going into political essays, et cetera, and so forth. And it's sort of a misplaced political consciousness that causes them to pick apart rock and roll when there's really no need to, you know, and over-intellectualize it. You know, they should be using all their intellectual abilities elsewhere.
Let's be animals about it.
Let's get dirty. Yeah. So speaking of reality here, Deborah.
I'm not living in the real world.
You know, I like to do this. I really do. You know, you get a weird impression.
You're asking good questions, too.
Yeah, but you get a weird impression from the written press. It's different to do this, you know.
Now, black music here for a moment.
To bring us into the disco and anti-disco question.
Do you ever hire out for these things, Chris? I mean, this would be great.
We just do a lot of...
Really slip me a question here.
I think the anti-disco movement is very dangerous, and I don't think anybody should, in their right mind, anybody who believes in music and music as a force should go into any anti-music. A lot of these kids who, you know, these so-called hard heavy metal fans or whatever it is, I suppose is in the forefront of the anti-disco movement. I mean, if anybody started an anti-heavy metal movement, they'd all be horrified, right? So, I mean, you know, live and let live, you know. I mean, there's a lot of crummy disco music, but there's also a lot of crummy rock and roll going around, too.
So when you did Heart of Glass, was that or was that not a conscious effort to, I believe the term is cash in, as they say, on the disco phenomenon?
In all honesty, which you may find hard to believe, it does. We didn't think it was that commercial because we thought it was too weird. I think the fans know what's happening with it.
Do you have a great deal of sense of like responsibility, wanting to get to your public?
Yeah, well, I have a responsibility to the public, and we have a greater responsibility to ourselves, which is the frustrating part of having what you say come out accurately. You know, and like that's a responsibility to yourself, because when you say one thing and then you're in print saying another thing, it's crazy, you know? But that's what happens.
Why do you care about that? I mean, why isn't it just, we're making a lot of money and they can print anything they want about us, and
because we're not making a lot of money, and we're not really doing this.
Oh, come on, you're making money now.
Now we have more money than we had 3 years ago, but it's not like, you know, I don't know what you think, but we've given
Yes, I think people's expectations and analysis of how much, you know, we've actually earned per how much we'd actually put in, I think is a lot, you know, probably greatly overestimated.
When you mean put in, you mean time and energy? Or?
Yeah. I mean,
we spent $1 million.
Spent
literally $1 million.
Yeah, a lot of debts.
Paying off debts and deals. You know, I mean that's a literal thing. We'd have $1 million more that we don't have.
$1 million.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And we're not really doing this for money. We'd started doing this because there was no other music around, and we wanted to make our own music, and there was nothing happening. And this was the scene. This was what was happening. This is what we wanted to do.
We can't seem to escape the label of punk. I never thought of us as being a punk band, ever.
New wave, any of that make any sense to you?
New wave seems to be like more of a historical or time period label. Punk is more of a musical style.
Doing a piece on the radio the other night on the subject that if the 60s was the we generation for a label, and the 70s was the me generation, perhaps, I'm asking you this, maybe it's not totally narcissism, maybe it is people going, wait a minute, I'm going to jog, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to do whatever it is to get me together, being a better person, and hopefully the 80s may be the us generation.
Let's hope so. That's a certainly optimistic viewpoint.
Yeah, that seems to
It
be
is optimistic, yeah. Would you agree with that? I think that's bullshit.
No, it's a very good point.
possibility. It sounds like a good idea.
Okay, we'll put that down as one possibility and move on to the next. What the hell?
We'll try that one. Sure,
Yeah, I
because
mean,
like what you're saying is like we, me, then maybe us. It's like that. Everything like that is sort of in a progression too, because like you have to take, you get really high values on certain things, and then you just keep blending it, and your values, you just keep taking the higher values, right? It's just sort of the natural attitude, I mean, it's inevitable. It always goes around in circles, right?
Now, isn't that also a kind of optimistic attitude that people will always take the best? Do you really think it's all getting better?
Well, it seems that way in music. I definitely feel that way. I mean, technology, of course, right? You get all these new inventions, and everyone plays with them, and it just advances,
So do you see that, I really...
What time?
Yeah, we'll answer the phone. Who cares?
Hello?
3,000 miles doing an interview
No.
and talk on the phone.
No, they're doing an interview right now. Can I take a message?
Do you spend hours in your quiet moments picking apart the band, or you try to get away from it when you two are just home? And
Oh, no, we don't. We go around to other projects usually.
We just fade away.
fade away? Well, what do you do when you fade away?
Oh, I don't know.
Watch TV.
I walk around in a stupor and I look through piles of papers and
Yeah, our
stuff.
apartment is
Rearrange
is a bad chaos scene. Our apartment is
Yeah.
How long you two been together?
5 years,
6 years.
Really?
Yeah.
God, that's great. That's great. Beside this vision that you've given me of you walking around your house in like big fuzzy slippers and moving piles of old, New York Times from one corner to the next, I can't quite get this, do you have any like path or anything that you do meditative like that?
Well, sometimes I just find myself like just totally, I don't know, just like sort of like everything just disappears and I'm just like standing there and, like somebody will talk to me and I'll just say, I'll hear their voice and then eventually like I'll say, what?
Coming through.
Right. I guess
You
that,
space out.
yeah.
Have you found any path at all? I mean, have you tried
Well,
meditation?
now the path is through the work, what we do,
Mm.
And I try to pay attention to the world and what's happening in the world, and and it's obvious that things are changing in the world situation, and society is changing. So I think in a way that's what the path is for a lot of people, probably.
Would this album then deal with how hard it is or the frustration of?
Not really. It's mostly
opposed to
I think
offering
it's
a
positive statement,
Do you offer solutions or paths to follow?
We offer a path in that the music is so eclectic and it comes from so many different places, and I think in a way that is what is happening in society. There's a lot of combinations occurring that haven't occurred before. So people might see that.
But that's why I'm asking you guys, because you really do seem like politically, A, concerned, and B, you seem politically aware.
I wonder how much you could do through music, because people are, the role of music is entertainment now,
entertain
and
people.
people don't look to it for any sort of message. So, if you put a message there, I wonder if they'll even find it.
But shouldn't an artist such as yourself, and who does seem to be personally concerned with what's going on in the world, reflect that in their music, and find a way not to?
They just do,
make it-
inevitably. They can't help it. It's just part of that's what this music is. It's contemporary music. It expresses the times. And that can't help it. It's not like a purposeful thing, as far as I'm concerned. That's what modern entertainment is about, you know, because it's instant. Everything is instant, and everything is this, what is it, biodegradable or degradable or whatever.
Degradation. Let's get into degradation.
Yes. So it's all that. It's all that too.
But it kind of emotes rather than you would ever consciously say, you know, I think that...
Yeah, I feel like some kind of a receiver or a transceiver, you know.
Yeah?
I don't really feel like... I mean, I come up with some things, but, you know, I sort of reflect and feel what's going on. How could I possibly create it? If I really created anything, I would be it.
I mean, I guess it's getting back to art reflects society.
Yes, it's gross commercialism. It screwed up everything.
That is definitely what killed it as soon as Macy's came out with peace symbols for the back of your
Right, it's the
family
same level
car.
as that.
Well, they had a
Exactly.
punk window. I mean, you know.
A punk? No, they didn't.
Yeah,
Really?
They
know that?
did. They had
They were
two
the first
punk
ones.
windows
Punk
in
window, punk
Macy's.
mannequins. Well, they were selling punk T-shirts that said punk and came with safety pins.
When did they first start showing like tight pants again? 78?
Yeah, we're going back to bell bottoms.
We're going back to bell bottoms and f you all.
All right, all right. Good for you. Good for you.
And hip huggers.
Hip huggers. Well, on that note, on that literary note, we're going to say goodnight. I really had a good time here. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Oh, do we have anybody to plug?
Clem Burke.
Clem, our drummer. Nigel, Jimmy, we mentioned everybody, Frankie. What else?
Did we mention all the band members?
Yeah.
Yeah, Frankie, Nigel, Jimmy, and Clem. I wonder if the cars are going to get rained out tonight. We promote the cars.
Is it still raining?
We promote everybody.
Yes. The Cars are playing Central Park. It's a big night.
Will they get rained
Friday
out,
night.
folks? It's been raining all day.
Well, listen, I thank you both for coming here.
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed
Great.
this. It was good meeting you. Yeah, good luck. You can go to your salad now, which has totally gone limp, I think.